Today's video is presented by Notes and Clips. Head to notesandclips.com and use the code BADOWER25 to get the largest current site-wide discount. Cyberware is broken in Cyberpunk 2077.
I beg your pardon.
It's on the thumbnail, in the description, and now I'm saying it, and I am going to tell you why. And you are remembering your Sandivistan as you hose down goons in such gorgeous slow motion that Zack Snyder is actually weeping with joy. In fact, Mr. Snyder probably wishes his stuff was as cool as Cyberpunk 2077. And your shiny gorilla arms are ground-pounding dudes into next week while your Kuroshi scans tell you that this Maelstrom gangbanger is a member of Oprah's book club. Do not judge that book by its cover, either of them. And you're probably like, Jason, Cyberware is awesome in Cyberpunk 2077. And I'm like, is he though? Here's the thing, while CD Projekt Red lovingly adapted Mike Pondsmith's tabletop role-playing game, I believe the Cyberware experience we got in Cyberpunk 2077 is a diluted and, most importantly, a dumbed-down adaptation.
And I'm sorry that I said a bunch of harsh but very true things.
I want to show you that it's nowhere near as brilliant or as immersive as Mike Pondsmith's Cyberpunk 2020 tabletop role-playing game. CD Projekt Red left a huge chunk of Mr. Pondsmith's ideas about Cyberware back on the tabletop game book box thing. You know what I'm talking about. Because here's the thing.
Just because something works doesn't mean that it cannot be improved.
You're rightfully asking, how can this not be as immersive as this? I know, I probably sound like a crazy person. All work and no play makes Jason a dull boy. And this is exactly the problem. I do want to be a crazy person in Cyberpunk 2077. And let me see if I can convince you that the sequel would be so much more fun if you also join me in the madhouse.
To a good time during a hard time.
My name is Jason Baddower, and speaking of psychiatric institutions, I am currently drawing Joker Harley Criminal Sanity Volume 2 for DC Comics. This is a forensically modern, psychologically accurate take on Joker and Harley Quinn. I am also a professional writer. Maybe you've heard of Lindsay Sterling. Yes, that Lindsay Sterling, the violin YouTube goddess. I wrote this graphic novel Artemis with her. I've also done a bunch of stuff for DC and all these other fantastic publishers. But right now, all these views are my own. First up, I want to thank all the people who left comments in my last video, Night City is broken. You have both inspired and also informed the ideas in this video. I cannot wait to hit the comment section and read what you all think of this video. Yes! But today, I'll be your Ripperdoc as I break down the Cyberware experience that we got in Cyberpunk 2077. And we'll also let our imaginations go play what Cyberware could and perhaps should look like in Cyberpunk 2. I want to be sedated. The Cyberware experience of Cyberpunk 2077 is, on one hand, pretty goddamn awesome. Is it fun?
Give me a hell yeah!
No debate there. Guess what's coming? But I got a crazy idea for you. Cool Cyberware is not what made Cyberpunk 2020 one of the greatest role-playing games of all time.
Seriously? Yes, seriously.
I am so confused how CD Projekt Red, brilliant people there, can adapt a game and miss the thing that made that game so brilliant. Come time travel with me for a second. 1987, a year before Cyberpunk 2020 comes out, Gary Gygax, the creator of a little game that no one ever heard of called Dungeons & Dragons, has just released Cyborg Commando, and audiences everywhere around the globe absolutely hated it.
Not my best work.
A year later, Mike Pondsmith, this badass dude, releases Cyberpunk 2020, and it becomes to this day one of the greatest tabletop RPGs of all time. Why? It wasn't just a better rule set or a better world to play in, although it was on both counts. The reason for Cyberpunk 2020 is so much more than the design of Night City, which is amazing, and more than what your superpowers you can graft onto your body are. What is that reason? Limitations, baby. I believe the limitations, what a character will not do, is what defines them. Like my Batman cannot kill, here's why video. Limitations are also the fundamental building blocks of the Hollywood 3-act structure of stories. Like Rocky can't get over seeing himself as a failure, or Inside Out, where Joy cannot accept that she cannot solve every situation. Limitations drive the Hollywood story machine, and in traditional Hollywood movies, characters rise above their limitations. In tragedies, they fail. Limitations are what makes a character and their story interesting. Characters that can do anything all the time are boring to me.
This is madness.
Limitations make for great games too. Dungeons & Dragons started with the old class limitations. There were crap ones, like clerics not being able to use bladed weapons, because smashing someone's brain in is way more holy than stabbing them through the guts. The Pope said so. I'm sure, absolutely sure he said that. Right through to the amazing idea of spell slots being a core spellcasting limitation, which still exists 50 freaking years later. Now, Mike Pondsmith's Cyberpunk 2020 was a landmark piece of game design for me because it was the first time that I saw an in-game mechanic being attached to a real character limitation. Cyberware in 2020 allows you to pretty much become a superhero, just like in 2077. But here's the most important thing that CD Projekt Red missed in adapting Cyberpunk 2020. Cyberware in 2020 also comes at a terrible price.
I just want to suck the joy out of everything.
Mr. Pondsmith's key idea was to link cyberware and thus your powers to your humanity and your empathy score. The more you chrome up, the less human you are. I would argue that Mike Pondsmith's creation of cyberpsychosis and humanity are two of the most important role-playing game concepts that have ever been invented.
I'm the best.
Why are they so important? Well, Mr. Pondsmith was the first person to most elegantly link power creep to character stat loss. It was the idea that the path to power takes a toll, a price that you have to pay. In 2020, as you lose humanity, you lose actual points from your empathy stat, and that stat governs leadership, lying, convincing, and romantic relationships. And in the tabletop game, unless you have fantastic dungeon master, I think it's called a referee, and player, this limitation mostly just limits you on a whole bunch of dice rolls and ability checks. And in a team of edge runners, you just let someone with more meat do the talking. This may seem like a pretty run-of-the-mill idea now, but the idea and mechanization of some sort of realistic cost as a gameplay element set Cyberpunk 2020 apart from every other role-playing game, and somehow modeled every other piece of cyberpunk media, movies, novels, and anything else that you can think of. Before, we'd just watch or read about these characters fighting for their humanity. But in this game, you get to make the choice to fight for your humanity or to go guns blazing into the abyss.
My choices are my own.
And then I watched Edge Runners. Amazing show, right? I don't even like 2D cartoons. I'll explain that minor disability some other day. In Edge Runners, the weight of cyberpsychosis hangs over David and everyone in that series. Cyberpsychosis is the tragic downfall of too many of these amazing characters. It is the yawning, inexorable pit that you surf the edge of as you try to survive in Night City. And as good as the Netflix series Edge Runners is, and as good as Mr. Pondsmith's tabletop role-playing game is, I believe that there is no better medium than video games to explore the idea of cyberpsychosis.
Perfection.
Nothing could illustrate the downward spiral of your cyber choices better than a cyber game. Enter Cyberpunk 2077. Stage left, stage right, stage Poland, okay? I was thrilled with Regina Jones's cyber psycho quests. I loved investigating and finding out what happened to these people, and the stories involved were all top-notch. And getting my own cyber powers was awesome. And one of the big reasons why I kept chroming up was because I couldn't wait to see how they deal with my own cyberpsychosis. Oh, wait, they didn't.
Inconceivable!
And not seeing some sort of mechanic for cyberpsychosis for the player, for humanity with respect to my character, broke my heart. In Cyberpunk 2077, I can chrome up like Alex Murphy and Battle Angel Alita had a baby, and I'm just fine. Everybody else is being thrown in psychiatric institutions or being gunned down by MaxTac. Meanwhile, I'm trying to unlock more and more of this gauge so I could load on more and more cyberware. The only way I could have been happier is if I was an octopus. I would have had 4 more limbs to chrome up. As the player, we are a goddamn superhero in a dark satirical commentary on the price of hypercapitalism. And 2077's take was, there is no price. Psych. Actually, no psych or psycho. If you saw my last video, Night City is broken, you're probably seeing a trend among my observations about CD Projekt Red's choices in their adaptation. Please go check it out if you haven't. I'm really proud of that video. And I cannot believe that I'm saying this, but I want to suffer from cyberpsychosis. I want to become a psycho killer. This gauge should have thresholds, and as you're about to cross each line, each threshold, the game warns you what's going to happen. Maybe you could start with crossed out dialogue options because you can't empathize with people. You can't lie. You can't inspire anyone. You can't use your background options. Basically, you can't use any empathy options. Maybe the cuddle option gets grayed out with your lover. Perhaps further on, you're even unable to be intimate. And no amount of pills, nanogels, or Mr. Studs are going to help you if you don't actually want to use your equipment down there. Lovers could notice your changes and eventually, perhaps at different thresholds for each one's, break it off with you. And maybe you should start having hallucinations. NPCs you've met not actually being there. You see them, you cross the road to chat to them, and then they dissolve in a cloud of pixels, like Johnny. Even further, you could have jobs and missions with no rewards because you hallucinated the entire briefing. Or the opposite, the fixer calls you up completely mad at you because you rage dialed them and you don't even remember it. And then you got to wonder if your fixer is messing with you or you're the one who's just plain messed up. Destabilize reality. So you keep passing out and waking up in harrowing situations where you've killed a cop or a corpo and you have to escape. Sort of like Sweet Dreams where you're kidnapped by the scavs, but this time you are hunted and on the run, maybe like the Takamura rescue after the Arasaka parade. This is just a sample of the risks you take when you cyber up, because with great cyber power comes great cyber psychosis. That's what Uncle Ben said, right? Right? I know all this doesn't necessarily seem like fun on the surface, but done really well in the right way, and I 100% believe this is so within the capabilities of the CD Projekt Red team. It could be groundbreaking and so immersive and perhaps even fun. Obviously, you need to give the player some control to this. Maybe you can artificially reduce your threshold by taking baloperidol medication like in El Capitan's Family Matters quest. Oh my god, that was a good quest. Heartbreaking. The more cyberware you have, the more medication you need to stop these side effects, and thus, the more expensive it is. Then the more jobs you got to take, the vicious cycle of Night City that pulls you down as you try to swim up by loading yourself up with more and more chrome. And while I love the idea of Regina's cyber psycho sighting questline, okay, I can't believe I got that one out. What if instead of Regina's pity party, I can initiate a questline to take down cyber psychos to investigate and stop my own cyber psychosis? Maybe depending on how many goals I can achieve in each one of her missions determines how far I can expand my cyber humanity meter, buying me more time and relief from my symptoms or room to chrome up even more. Hey, before I wrap this up, I am just starting this whole YouTube thing, and if you get a sec to strap on your net running suit and hit that like button, well, that would just really help me absolutely immeasurably. Got some opinions? Hit me up in the comments below. I am just stunned by the number of awesome conversations that I'm having in the comment section of these videos. I would love you to join me there. Even just people saying nice stuff means the world to me. And hey, hit that subscribe button and let's do this again. I have so much more cyberpunk, other video games, and comic books and movies to talk about. But if you're curious about my stuff, please check out Joker Harley Criminal Sanity. If you could support your local comic shop and grab it there, that would be absolutely amazing. If you cannot, no worries at all. It is on Amazon with some pretty nice reviews, actually. Check out Artemis, the graphic novel that I co-wrote and co-art directed with Lindsay Sterling. We are both super proud of that graphic novel. If you want to collect my art, hit up jasonbadauer.com and come visit me at a convention. I have all sorts of prints to sell. I also have a Patreon where I send out all sorts of stuff at each level every month.
Look, this has been a very enjoyable pantomime, but I'd like to go home now.
There's this little game that no one's ever heard of called Elden Ring. I know, I love supporting and showcasing these little indie titles. You should check it out sometime. They could absolutely use your support. The thing about Elden Ring, it is as difficult or almost as easy as you want it to be depending on your chosen build. I mean, my 7-year-old beat Millennia. In Elden Ring, you can fine-tune your own difficulty, so much so that people actually give you crap for playing certain easier builds, but neither the game or I care. In fact, if you want to share those cheese builds in the comments below, that would be super appreciated. But what if the video game noticed what you did and it mattered? And as you play Cyberpunk 2, your cybernetics could be your in-game difficulty slider. On your first playthrough, you cyber up till Darth Vader thinks that even you've gone too far.
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed.
You finish the game, but your lover leaves you and everyone else thinks that you're a monster. So, play again. You lower your cybernetics and increase your difficulty. You instead spend some of those eddies on some preem weapons which aren't as good as Cyberware, but will give you an edge. Maybe you even unlock a different secret ending. Maybe your lover even stays with you. But there's more. Maybe you're good enough to finish Cyberpunk 2 with no Cyberware, which means you gotta be good. Damn good. And you score the new meet for the win ending. Your lover stays with you because your downstairs still works and it's all about as good as Night City is going to get, which honestly is probably still not so great. And CD Projekt Red could truly walk in Mr. Pondsmith's footsteps. What if fixers also noticed that you didn't slaughter everyone on a gig? What if you spared the mini-bosses like Cyber Psychos in 2077? What if gangs noticed that you didn't kill their members? Maybe all these things could increase your humanity meter. What if you managed to actually finish a non-lethal playthrough? There's got to be some sort of story ending, right? I mean, even Red Dead Redemption 2 had the honor system and the good and the bad honor endings. So why on earth am I banging on about this? There is a level of existential body horror to replacing your flesh, bone, and blood. You are sawing off your limbs to get these things. Mike Pondsmith created a world where the real horror is that people cannot wait to do this, to look cool, to survive, because they tell you that the chrome is better than your meat. This juxtaposition, this smashing together of illogic, of the message to carve away your limbs, is why I believe that cyberpsychosis and your humanity are fundamental core mechanics to truly experiencing the world of Mike Pondsmith's Cyberpunk 2020. We have seen an amazing cyberpunk game without humanity, and it is hella fun. But it is not the cyberpunk world that Mike Pondsmith created, the world that ties our humanity to the price of chroming up. I actually got to meet up with my longtime channel sponsors, Linda and Rob of notesandclips.com. They are the nicest people, and I am so grateful for their support. Now, Linda gave me a bunch of her stationery boxes, and now I want to show you what's inside the navy tartan box. The box itself is beautiful. You are going to want to keep this. In fact, I think I'm going to keep all my drawing pens in here. Let's go in. Ooh, very nice. Very nice. Let me, oh, wow. The presentation is beautiful. Even Apple would be jealous of this one. Hope you can see that. I don't know if you can see this, but even inside, it's a gift just for you. This is solid. Now, let's go through what's in here. First up, you've got this card that you can customize. You can also add a personal message on the website, and it doubles as a postcard. Then you've got these super handy sticky notes. You can never have enough sticky notes. Trust me. My wife's monitor looks like Times Square, and she is very successful, so she would know. Then there's this really nice notepad. I can't stress enough how useful an actual physical notepad is. This one's 50 pages. Really nice. That'll keep you going. Then we have Linda's planner stickers. I have watched videos of unboxings, and all the experts agree the absolutely unequal quality of notesandclips.com's stickers. Here's a secret. Linda actually hand makes these and prints them out at home, and they are of the highest professional quality. It is unbelievable how good these stickers look, and they're incredibly useful. Next up, we have two unruled 120 GSM notebooks. Unruled is the best for high-level note-taking like mind maps, and this is really nice paper. I actually think I could probably watercolor paint. And believe me, I know paper. I am a paper snob. This pen is beautiful. I'm going to keep this on me. And when people want to borrow a pen, I'm going to whip this out and they're going to be like, whoa, this dude's money. Very nice pen. Then a happy birthday card and envelope. Why do you want a blank happy birthday card and envelope? So you don't have to shop for one at the last minute when you forget someone's birthday. This is like giving someone a solution to a future problem. What a stationery box. This is an incredible gift. And what do Linda and Robert, notesandclips.com, charge for this? $30. Come on now. And it gets even better. And if you use the code BADOWER25, you'll get the best current site-wide discount. Notesandclips.com is all the gifts you will ever need to give. Go to notesandclips.com or their Etsy store, etsy.com/uk/shop/notesandclips. Thank you, Notes and Clips, for being a sponsor on today's video. Hey, so this setup isn't actually intentional. I work and film down in my basement, and I had a giant flood, inches of water all over the floor here. It destroyed everything. I had to move all my equipment out. I lost my Cintiq power adapter. Hopefully it hasn't fried my actual Cintiq Pro. Lost books, lost so many graphic novels, and it is the last time that I'll set my office up in this area. I'm hoping to set it up in a smaller area where I'm currently doing some renovations there. So that sucked. I hope life is going much better for you. I do not know if I'm going to keep this set up or not, because recording is an absolute nightmare. Hope your life is going much better. See you in the comments below.